morning everyone. Before I start my presentation, I would like to say thanks to Jaypee for giving me this opportunity to present some of the work that we have done in smart metering. Predominantly this presentation will be based on a consumer perception survey we conducted in 2022 and some of the case studies from the visits we did to some of a few DISCOMs which have basically pioneered or I think forerunner on smart metering installation. First of all, I'll just briefly introduce CEEW. So CEEW is a not-for-profit think tank based out of India. We basically aim to impact sustainable development scale with data related analysis and strategic outreach. We work across three specific terminals: transformations, quality of life, and the key enablers to them. We have a 330 plus multidisciplinary team that is working across 20 plus Indian states. Additionally, we have special initiatives such as Center for Energy Finance, Public Livelihoods, Emerging Economies, and we have a state office in UP as well. First of all, I'll just talk about the RDS scheme briefly. So there's a target of around 250 million smart meters that are intended to be installed under RDSS. 22 million have already been installed. These three states, Bihar, Assam, and UP, are the front runner in the installation part. The pre-RDSS phase gave them a certain push that allowed them to basically scale smart metering installation. Gujarat, as MD sir highlighted, started the installation last year. They are in the initial stage, and there is this opportunity for Gujarat to basically utilize the learnings from smart meter installation across other states. So consumer experience and perception is at the heart of smart meter installation. And so before getting into the DISCOM's case study, we will first focus on how has been the consumer experience with smart metering. So we conducted this survey of 2,700 smart meter consumers across 6 states, covering 10 public DISCOMs in 2022. It covered both prepaid as well as postpaid consumers. Some of the key findings from the survey are, so first thing is the installation part. So the installation experience is very key to smart metering experience of the consumers. Almost 90% of the consumers basically had a very good experience. There were a couple of states like Bihar and UP where some of the consumers highlighted certain issues with smart metering, predominantly on the meter activation once the installation was done. On the billing and payment experience, 50% of the users basically highlighted that there has been improvement in billing regularity, especially because of automated billing, and then switching from in some of the states, switching from bi-monthly to monthly billing. 2/3 of the consumers basically highlighted that the payment of the bills have become easier, especially for the prepaid consumers. And this has been ensured because there's digital apps specifically for smart metering, and then the payment flexibility that comes with prepayment option. But then there were certain consumers who cited 12% consumers who had cited certain issues with especially the payment features, especially the fear of missing out on doing the recharge on time, or especially those consumers who have irregular income, the cash flow issues they shared, and then the gaps in digital literacy to effectively use the smart metering application. Now there were two specific co-benefits that the consumers also highlighted. First was around 40% consumers highlighted that they have better control over the expenses on electricity consumption. And similar percentage also mentioned that there has been certain improvement in the supply quality as well. The share was higher among the prepaid consumers. But then the issue basically was on the awareness of the mobile application part, which is very important when it comes to smart metering. So only 50% consumers basically had been using the smart metering application or had some awareness of it. The highest share was observed was basically reported in case of Bihar, and Rajasthan, Haryana and MP had less than 50% consumers reporting usage of smart metering application. So this is one of the area which should be basically the priority of the DISCOMs. Then on the overall satisfaction of the on the smart meters, 80% consumers were satisfied or were basically neutral about the smart metering app. The share was higher among the prepaid consumers, and almost 70% of these consumers were basically ready to recommend smart metering to other consumers as well. So that basically highlights how important smart metering consumers is and how can it ensure that this flow of information across a certain neighborhood. Now moving to the second part of the presentation, where we discuss our experience from field visits to Assam, Bihar and MP. First we'll talk about the objectives of this visit. So we were trying to basically understand how the smart metering teams were organized from the headquarters to the subdivision level, what sort of consumer engagement strategies were they adopting, whether they were using specific techniques or analysis to basically utilize the smart meter data, and any other specific challenges that they were observing with smart meter rollout. So we basically, three DISCOMs, three states we focus, as I highlighted earlier. Within MP we had focus on Indore DISCOM, then we have Assam DISCOM, and in Bihar we covered both the DISCOMs. So in MP the focus was on how you can use the data to improve the cost recovery. So they started with a pilot exercise. This is a pre-RDSS phase, so they started with a pilot exercise focusing on high loss feeders. Simultaneously they also set up a data cell which had around 15 employees. They also engaged a third party which can help them setting up this whole infrastructure. The data cell was basically coordinating at the field level as well as at the headquarter level, on especially the vigilance and the zonal teams. One of the key learning from this visit was that they basically, since a lot of data gets captured from the smart meter data, they wanted to derive specific insights, actionable insights from them. So they developed this techno-commercial index using around 63 parameters to detect theft, identify cases where levy on low PLF needs to be done, and any sort of load discrepancies. Their hit rate around that time was around 50%, and they were to 75%. The outcome of this efforts is clear from here. Around that time there was improvement in recovery from the penalties imposed for maximum demand and PF corrections. Then early identification of cases of underbilling by especially meter readers, since the automated meter reading basically came up, and then instances of meter tampering were also captured because of the use of this index. Moving to Assam now, since I earlier highlighted that almost more than 90% of the consumers were satisfied with the smart metering experience, that owes to the strategy that Assam adopted in addressing all the issues that the consumers were facing with smart metering. So within the 912 center, they had a proper team that was handling the smart meter consumer complaints. They were properly trained, they were available round the clock, and they had certain specific SOPs to address specific complaints, such as whether it comes to the usage of the application or delays in any reconnection. They also had access to the consumer consumption history, which basically helped them in sharing the details with the consumers and address any sort of issue that the consumers highlighted. They also had access to the field staff, so any issue which required intervention from the staff would be taken up from the center. Finally, we come to the story of Bihar, which is about scaling of smart meter. They already have 60 lakh smart meters installed as of now, and all of them in prepaid mode. Now this basically owes to the strong government support that was there on smart metering, as well as since they basically started before the RDSS phase, they focus on phased deployment of smart meters that help them and strategically deploy smart meter and also troubleshoot any sort of issues that they were able to face. Then the IT cadre and the infrastructure that they were able to build through under the IPDS and RAP scheme, they deployed it for smart metering, both at the headquarter level and also at the subdivision level. Also, what Parmar sir was mentioning, that it's very important that from the top till the bottom, everyone has this understanding that smart metering is for their own benefit, for the benefit of the entire DISCOM, and whatever skills the reskilling would be required can be done in this particular ecosystem. So in that way, that was what the focus of Bihar as well, where they basically redeployed the existing staff to certain other positions where they can basically use the insights from the smart meter. Adoption of new technology, they were open, they basically connected with different kind of AMSPs, which basically allowed them to also explore different kind of smart meter technologies as well as communication technologies such as NB-IoT that can optimize the network usage and reduce the over per unit cost of smart metering communication. Finally, consumer engagement is again what I mentioned is the heart of this whole exercise. So what they have used extensively, they have made use of the social media extensively to reach out to the consumers to basically have focus, and their focus was generally on what sort of benefits, especially on the monetary terms, that the consumers can have from this smart metering. And also before every smart metering exercise, they organize these camps where they basically reconciled any arrears and resolved any consumer concerns. These are some of the glimpses from our visit to Patna. Then before I conclude this presentation, I'll request everyone to scan this QR code. There are 2 questions for all the participants and they can respond to it. We have 5 minutes for that. So these questions basically are around the benefits of smart metering, what sort of issues that Gujarat specifically may come up with smart metering, what kind of utility can be derived from data. So those questions we basically want to understand the perspective of the participants as well.
Can everyone see the questions on their phone yet, or you can?
If at all anyone is having network issues, please join us onto the Jaypee campus Wi-Fi network. The password would be capital G, small EDRI K3 at 2023. I'll repeat, capital G, small ETRI, that is K3 with G capital, at the rate 2023 numeric.
We'll look at the results for each of these questions. So first was basically on the utility of smart meters for Gujarat's successful energy transition. Almost all, but have agreed to their importance. I think there are few which have certain concerns about its utility. What are the most relevant use cases of smart meters for DISCOMs? On this, I think the first major response is on the timely and accurate billing and revenue collection. Second is on consumer demand for forecasting. And so these are the first top 3 responses that this question. Next one, most important benefit of having prepaid smart meters. There is sort of a tie between payment flexibility that consumers have and the lower working capital requirements for DISCOM due to the upfront payments available. To the next question on what is the biggest operational challenge that the DISCOMs face in the rollout. Consumer resistance, I think, has come up as a major concern, and after that the integration with the billing system. What should be the DISCOM's focus in ensuring smooth smart meter implementation? Again, flowing from the previous question, almost a large portion of the participants have highlighted the need to focus on consumer outreach and grievance redressal. On what is the biggest challenge in leveraging smart meter data? I think the awareness among the field staff, which is again very critical, and the data analytics capabilities which need to be within the data. These are the two major responses. With this, I just move to my last slide, which is on the key learnings from these exercises, and it also somehow links with the questions that we had shared with all the participants. So first is the need of targeted smart metering, which I think there is a general consensus among the participants that there needs to be focus on consumer engagement. There needs to be a proper plan established, use of multiple channels for consumer outreach, and as well as focus on improving the awareness of the smart meter app. Second is again which was highlighted in the responses, need for building the internal capabilities of the DISCOMs, especially on the IT fronts, and finally the partnering with the technology path providers, which is again a part of this whole workshop and which will be discussed today and more. So with this I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity.